Hello, Mr. Men. What you doing?
Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to an all-new episode of Talking Smack, where we talk superheroes, movies, animation, comics, and much, much more. I'm your host, Josh Scar, and joining me, as always, is everyone's favorite hairless cat. It's Alex. Alex, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. It is a Sunday evening. There's a crisp wind, blowing through my house because apparently I need to upgrade my windows. And somewhere, half the nation is crying because their football team is losing, and that just makes me feel great.
I think more like 90% of the nation's football team is losing right now. I think most people are rooting for the Bills because we hate dynasties. We want Goliath to fall in sports and certain narratives, but not other things apparently in this country. But we are also joined by Matt. Matt, how you doing?
I was going to say, we love a dynasty.
In certain narratives, yes. Unfortunately.
I'm doing good. How are you guys? Aside from what you've already said.
I'm doing all right. Getting over a little bit of a chest cold. I have some Vapo Rub going just to try and minimize my coughing. It's all in the chest. It's like I haven't been overly congested or anything like that. It's just been a dry cough, which, like, small blessing, hasn't been causing headaches, because usually when it's like a bad sinus cough, you get that headache that comes with it.
Oh,
no
I hate
good.
that. Yeah.
I have a now 2-year-old, so it's basically constant around these parts.
Yep. Kids are gross. They keep you sick all the time. You're just playing ping pong with it.
Got a question for you here, Josh. You've been rubbing, chest cold. You've been rubbing like Vicks.
I mean, yeah, that is why my shirt is off, but yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying, are you trying to pull a Monica from Friends, trying to seduce Chandler?
I'm fine.
Look how sexy I am with my vapor rub on my chest.
Yes, I am also trying to seduce you guys as well, but that's just an ongoing, ever-present thing.
The one where you guys are a couple of fucking dorks.
Been trying to seduce Matt for 20-some years, man.
This is not relevant. Except
why do you think I'm doing the hair? It's not to make up for Alex's lack thereof.
I was just talking to somebody about this a little while ago. It doesn't have anything to do with what you just said, except 20 years really made me think of some stuff. I realized just like an hour ago before we recorded this that this year the Xbox 360 turns 20.
I hate that. Why did you have to share that information? Because this is supposed to be a happy episode.
It's in my brain, and now it's got to be in everyone I know who I was around 20 years ago.
So the PlayStation has turned 30.
Yep.
And they did an amazing update on the PS5 where
they have actual games now.
Wow. Okay. First of all, stop that.
So when you log in, it goes to the original PlayStation boot up screen with that sound.
And then there's a bunch of themes you can pick for the PS1 through 4, and it kind of like makes the noise, the sounds, the clicky sounds and stuff. It's really neat.
And the backdrop is the console, and it's so fun because I've just been updating it like every few days. Like, okay, that's right, because I didn't realize until they did push the update through that. Oh yeah, everyone has a different clickety sound as you're flipping through games and stuff, and of course a little boot screen and all that. Oh, it's so nice.
I think it's only on. I think they're going to take it away at some point, but I wish they wouldn't. Keep it. Let me use it forever.
Rumor was they're supposed to remove it like a week ago, but mine still hasn't updated.
Yeah, mine
and I'm kind of tempted to block it because it's so nice just to boot it up, and the old PlayStation chime, and I was like, oh, let me pop in the third disc of Final Fantasy VII and just start playing through to kick Sephiroth's ass one more time.
I don't think I've booted up my PlayStation since all that. I'll have to turn it on once we're done recording this just so I can hear it.
Yeah, you better hurry.
All right. Well, we're here to talk about what you doing, the things we're doing away from the podcast that maybe are not big enough that we would cover it on the podcast, but things that we're enjoying and things that we feel like can be discussed a little bit here with the podcast. But first, we have to hear from Josh and Amanda Wilson over at the Super Familiar with the Wilsons podcast. We'll be right back.
The Super Familiar with the Wilsons podcast. You know that family whose house you hung out in when you were a kid? The house was a little loud and chaotic, but always fun, and sometimes felt more home than home. Well, that's us.
We're the Wilsons, and we welcome you into our podcast with silly chat, ridiculous games, and interviews with interesting people.
Like a spin doctor. The Super Familiar with the Wilsons podcast.
Welcome home.
Matt, I did math really quickly. It's been 25 years since we've really been like friends.
Yeah.
That's
pretty.
That's insane. That's more than half my life.
Nobody should know someone else for that long. I'm announcing my resignation from the show and from this friendship.
From my life.
Yeah.
At least I'll have the pound puppy you gave my oldest that one time.
Yeah.
Now, after being friends for 25 years, would you say that you are still discovering things about each other? Or is this all old hat?
It's all old hat. I've seen Josh with long hair before.
It's true. 20 years ago.
Yeah, I've seen him without a shirt. I've seen him slathered in vapor rub and other stuff.
You see me in my highest highs, my lowest lows.
Yep.
Matt's been there for it all, man.
So I guess that just means that you two need to make the ultimate jump. You should buy a timeshare together.
Yeah, why not?
I'm down for getting a Disney timeshare. They have lots everywhere. We're gonna do What'cha Doin now that Matt and I have locked in on a timeshare. So we got to make sure we're not harshing each other's vibes or whatever the terms may be. I've got two that I really want to talk about, but I'm gonna kind of speed run a few of mine really quickly. We're recording this on Sunday the 26th, which happy Mass Effect 2 15-year anniversary to those who celebrate. And for anyone who hasn't listened to it yet, please go listen to last week's episode where Matt and I talked with Dan from Casting Views, the lovely Dan, to celebrate 15 years of Mass Effect 2.
Yeah, I saw that pop up and I was like, what? And then I wrote, oh yeah, we recorded that like a month ago. Peek behind the curtain. But I was like, wait a second.
Yeah, it was recorded a while ago. New Year's Day, I think we even said.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
But yeah, 25 days ago from time of this recording. But yesterday in the United States, at least, season 6 of Miraculous, Ladybug, and Noir started. So my kids and I were very excited for that. Basically, it's sort of like season 2 of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, where there's a new bad guy, but everything still kind of flows the same. Like there's a baddie of the week. Chaos ensues. The team comes together, saves the day. Fun little antics on the side with the non-superhero side of it. Super fun first episode, lots of intrigue. The show is celebrating its 10-year anniversary as well, so it's going to be a fun ride seeing how my kids respond to a week-to-week release with a show like this, since it's not all dropping on streaming in one day. I'm pretty sure they would have just binged the whole thing all day today had they done that. The other thing is I am like 90 minutes into Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, which maybe we'll come back to. Super fun to play through the Raiders of the Lost Ark intro in video game form. I'm not a big fan of the first-person shooter perspective. I feel like that's a little odd, but I do like the mechanics of like the boxing and other things, which again, maybe Matt, Alex, if you guys are playing it, we can come back to it.
Yeah, I've played a bit of it.
The last thing I wanted to talk about super quick, which is the thing I promised Alex would make him smile. I am like halfway through season 3 of That Time I Was Reincarnated as a Slime. And what's funny with this show is that it takes like 70 some episodes to set up the main like conflict of the show. And I'm sitting there through most of season 2. Like, I really wish they would do something more dramatic. Like, this is super fun and cute, but isn't there more to this world? Isn't there more stuff to do? And then they like gaslight me in the first 10 or 15 minutes of a movie that they do after season 2, where I messaged Alex and I'm like, is this right? This is in the Crunchyroll Slime playlist, but this is so dour and serious, and I haven't seen Rimuru at all yet. Like, what the hell is this? Sorry, am I being punked? And nope, it just a very long intro setting up the main story of the movie. But it's super fun, super cute, and very idyllic. I like the show a lot, but ever since they did establish like a legitimate plot and conflict of the show, I have slowed down in watching it because I'm trying to take it in a little bit more, where the 70 some episodes between season 1 and season 2 are very much like, here's a small little problem. Rimuru goes to solve it. Some form of sentient monster or human shows up. Rimuru becomes best friends with them. They fall in love with Rimuru, and things come together and get better. And it's done in a really good way, but it's very formulaic in those very early episodes. And it's like, I get it, but I need more. And then finally they give me more, and I'm like, I need to slow down. So those are my 3 like speed run ones. So let's head over to Alex.
I have just one question first.
Yeah, go ahead.
They don't have Dragon Ball Z where you live?
I refuse to go into Dragon Ball Z.
You watch these weird weird animes instead of the
we're talking about 20 years things. Like that's a marriage in itself, investing in Dragon Ball Z.
See, the time I got reincarnated as a slime is such a little comfort show for me, because it's a slice of life isekai. He gets morphed back as a slime, the lowest of the low. Immediately befriends a giant evil dragon who is actually just like, oh, you're the greatest thing ever. And then slowly, or guess quickly, because the first, I think, 2 seasons happen over like 5 months, unite the entire beast clans to build a major metropolis.
I think they said it was 2 years by the end of season 2. Yeah.
Yeah, but I absolutely love it, because it's just like, oh no, this person's all mad. Okay, let's talk this out. And now we're friends.
And now they realize how awesome Rimuru is, and the fact that he understands that his perspective isn't the only one that matters. And oh my gosh, he's amazing. Let's just vow everything we own to him.
Yeah, and he like defeats one of the demon lords who is whooping his ass by like tricking her into eating a cookie or whatever that was that he gave her.
It's honey, yeah.
Yeah. It's like, and you don't get any more of this if you keep killing us. It's like, okay.
Is Goku in it?
No, but there is some really amazing badass samurai.
Okay, all right.
Oh, and the goblins.
His secretary is
pretty
awesome.
Yes, his secretary is amazing.
No Vegeta either, I'm guessing.
No.
Okay, all right.
And also his diddle has no fiddle, so that's important.
That's an actual line from the show. What the diddle? Or no, what the fiddle? How does it go? What the diddle? This fiddle has no diddle?
Yeah, this fiddle has no diddle. Or this diddle has no fiddle. Yeah. Because he's a slime, he can take over. If he consumes a form, he then gets to become that form. He mostly just stays a slime, but there's an opportunity that happens where he willingly is able to assist somebody who's passing away. And then when he assumes their form, he takes a look in the mirror, and because he's a slime, it's not perfect. And it's just been seared into my head.
I said that on school grounds once, and I landed in court.
Well, Matt, as Josh was alluding to, I as well have not been watching Dragon Ball Z at all. I decided to put on, at the recommendation of a different friend, an anime called My Dress Up Darling, and 3.5 hours later, I had finished it.
So you don't have like One Punch Man?
Was that friend me?
Yes. I mean, I could watch One Punch Man, or I could like rewatch like Cowboy Bebop again, but I decided not to. Matt, have you seen My Dress Up Darling?
I'm gonna let you guess that. I'm gonna let you guess on that one.
Oh, so you have? Sweet.
Everyone should see it, definitely.
It's harmless. It is adorable. It's about a shut-in who just...
It's a little leering. That's my only problem. Is it's like a 15, 16-year-old girl, and there are a lot of glamour shots.
Yes, there are. But the reason why I say it's like innocent is because they are just it's about an outcast who wants to just learn how to paint these Hanai dolls as well as his grandfather does. And as a young child, his best friend yells at him for being weird for playing with dolls. So he has no friends. He's in, I think, a freshman or a sophomore or something, because he says like first year, which I think is equivalent of freshman. And he doesn't have friends. People pick on him and trick him into always being the one to clean the classroom, so he's always alone. And it so happens that of course, the most popular girl in school has a secret. She wants to learn to cosplay and stumbles upon him because his sewing machine broke, making dresses. And he's like, well, if you make doll dresses, can you make adult people dresses? And he's like, well, I can try.
That's how I ended up in court the second time.
I am learning new things about Matt.
It's about cosplay, and they really go deep into like how you're like doing dresses and what cosplay means to each person, because he starts meeting different cosplayers as well through this, and they go to a convention or two. And it is just kind of a sweet, just like explaining why people want to cosplay, why people want to be this persona. And what I really, really appreciate is that they also do the theme that cosplay does not mean consent. They are always asked, can I take your picture? Can I pose with you? Can I put my arm around you? And stuff like that. So they actually are, very subtly teaching people how to treat cosplayers and stuff like that, while also getting really geeky about like fabrics and like how to do the appropriate bob and how to do deep research so you're getting the right seaming and stuff. It's cute. I really, really dig it. And I'm super glad it's getting a second season.
And they're teaching that to anime fans who probably need it more than most.
Matt is on one tonight. I would agree. My Dress Up Darling is super cute. I remember that was part of the waifu gauntlet that Slade and Lewis put me through. And that was easily my favorite show that they put me on. And it is very sweet. And they play up the stuff for laughs. They don't try to play it too sexy, but they do some sitcom-y stuff too, where they end up in precarious situations. Like they end up at like a love motel for one of their shoots, and they never go as far as you would think they might, because Kitagawa, the girl, is very much like, not like I'm the popular one, I can't be in love with him, but it's more like she recognizes that she's developing feelings for Gojo, and she's just trying to help him come out of his shell a little bit and realize that maybe he has feelings for her too, which maybe we'll get to that in season. But there's like moments where they go to the beach together, which is super sweet. The fireworks scene at the very end of the season is just hilariously adorable. It's great. I would strongly recommend My Dress Up Darling to anyone who hasn't seen it.
And their power love.
So Matt, what you doing?
This is sort of in line with what we've been talking about so far, and also is the main reason I have not actually gotten much into that Indiana Jones game you were talking about before. I've been playing a game called Metaphor ReFantazio. You guys familiar with this at all? You know of this game at all?
I have not heard of that one at all.
I want to play it.
How familiar are you with the Persona games, Josh? Like their structure?
Not at all.
So it's a game series developed by Atlas, who also developed this game, and they're all RPGs, turn-based RPGs out of Japan, where in the Persona games, it's always like you're some kind of teenager in like modern day Japan somewhere, Tokyo, or like or a village or whatever. And the game is structured as such where you kind of go through a calendar, so to speak, where you're living out these days and making decisions about who you are going to like, what activities you're going to do, who you're going to hang out with, like what kind of bonds you're going to form with your friends and stuff, as a way of like building stats and getting character stories and stuff. And that's also how the story is structured. Well, there'll be some problem that you have to solve, and you have a deadline, right? Where it's like X number of in-game days, you have to finish this dungeon by then, and they're all too big to do in one go, usually. So you have to like kind of figure out, okay, am I going to go into the dungeon, make some progress there today? Am I going to do something else to like level up or hang out with this person? Whatever. Metaphor ReFantazio is basically that same structure of RPG, but it is a sort of medieval fantasy game, where you play. It's like a monarchist like caste system. Basically, there's all kinds of different fantasy creatures that are all on various points of a social hierarchy, and the basic structure of the game is the king is assassinated, and through some magic, he sort of puts on a popularity contest, sort of like with post-death magic, to like whoever is the most popular is going to be the new king. So it's like you are competing with a bunch of other like various anime characters, basically doing this grand experiment of democracy. And like there's various like missions you're doing to try and, okay, we've got this like date coming up for this contest, for the popularity contest, so we have to do a certain thing by this time, so we have whatever to present to the crowd, things like that. And it is like a very interesting game to have come out in like early 2024 or like mid 2024. This game that's like, wow, monarchies are bad and democracy is like really great and everyone's equal. Playing it right now is interesting for, I don't know, maybe you can think about some reasons why that would be. Anyway, I had heard, I wasn't really going to play it because these RPGs are big. Like the Persona games generally can go for like 100 hours. And then it was like, basically it was on everybody's lips for Game of the Year last year. Huge game. And then a friend of mine sent it to me for kind of a surprise Christmas gift. And I was like, well, shit, why not, So I've been really digging into that, and I'm about 25 hours into it, which is like insane to think it might only be a quarter of the way. But yeah, especially like with your newfound weeaboo-ness, Josh, this game, or maybe even like the Persona games, may be more up your alley than they might have been previously.
I'm too scared to try the Persona games. I have, knowing that they take hundreds of hours to beat, I'm like, I don't have that kind of time, man.
Is this game set within the Persona universe? Because most of the Persona games modern day high schoolish.
Yes, yeah, they are, and as far as I know, they are not. This is not set in that world. It's interesting because your character has a novel that is like the most fantastical, not the most fantastical work anyone has ever read. You keep showing it to people, and they're like, "What a weird, like out there novel," and it's basically describing our world, right? Where it's like, wow, there's this place where everyone is equal, no matter whether or not they have horns or weird ears or whatever, and you vote for your king, and everyone's like, that is so insane, bro. That would never happen. But yeah, it's basically a version of those games though, where it's like the same kind of, they don't really have the same level of control with like the Personas, where you can like mix and match and like create your own and things like that. But there's a version of that where you can, it's basically a job system where there's different characters and their social bonds can unlock different, they're called archetypes for you, where it's like, okay, this one is a fighter or a gunner or a knight, and you can equip that to sort of change your stats and your moveset and stuff. I'm digging it.
Wait, so this one is what, more medievally?
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Huh. So it's the same people. It's a very similar, like, kind of like premise, but I mean, assuming it's fairly intuitive, when you're going through it, it's like, oh yeah, so this is this world's version of this from the Persona games and all that.
Yeah, it's basically the same basic structure where it's like you're going through various days, and you have the afternoon to choose to do something, and then the evening to choose to do something, and then usually you have some kind of deadline that is looming, where you have to complete something in time to advance the story.
Okay. Damn it, I may have to play it.
It's good. I would recommend it. It really scratched a Japanese role-playing game itch that I did not know I was having. Where I like picked it up, or a friend sent it to me, and I popped it in, and I was like totally sucked into it over the holidays. Where, I'm someone who has always liked those kinds of games. It had been a while since I really sunk my teeth into one, and I really am vibing with it.
Sounds great. Alex, let's bounce back to you. What you doing?
There is a channel on they're called fast, free, ad-based streaming, television, called Wipeout Extreme, which plays the Wipeout, TV show with the big balls where people run through obstacle courses and get flung through all there.
Wild and Crazy Kids for adults.
Yeah. But instead of just doing that, playing those shows, because they don't typically air the American ones, They air the British one and the Canadian one and the Australian
Do they at
ones
least have
and
the
some
big
of the
red
others.
balls?
They all have the big red balls.
Okay.
This is what I found fascinating. The US one is filmed in California. All the international versions are filmed on the same course in Argentina.
Interesting.
All right.
Yeah, and they also show a TV show called 101 Ways to Leave a Game Show, which is these weird challenges, and it got canceled after like 4 episodes in the US. But my favorite show is a British comedy duo called The Almost Impossible Game Show, which is the dumbest games. You have 50 quote-unquote lives, and you have to beat at least 5 of their games to win the prize at the end. You can fail a game 15 times and then automatically get moved to another game, but you still haven't won a game. So they have challenges like there are a pair of trousers hanging from a hook with suspenders at the edge of a treadmill. You have to run up the treadmill and within 15 seconds, grab the pants, hike them on while running, and hook the trousers over yourself. Of course, people fall and get thrown off the treadmill. You have to figure out a word that is on a pane of plexiglass, but you're blindfolded, so you can only use your tongue to find it. And you have 20 seconds each time to try to lick the plexiglass to find the word that is spelled out in this little like magnetic letter.
That doesn't sound very hygienic in a post-COVID world.
No, this is one of the dumb ones. I mean, they're all dumb, weird games. You have a boxing glove on one hand. You hear a buzzer. A small piece of cake gets dropped right in front of your forehead. You have to time it right to punch yourself in the face and catch the piece of cake.
Sounds easy. This all sounds really easy.
There's also another one where you have 20 seconds to shake off 10 croissants that have been Velcroed to your body. But you can't yank them off. You have to shake them off. I've yet to find an episode where anyone succeeds at getting all 10 off. And the commentators are doing the very MXC, Takeshi's Castle thing of they're just mocking the hell out of the contestants. And of course, they interview the contestant, like the boxing one. They interview the contestant every time, like, okay, cool. So you missed it that time. What's your plan this time? I got to punch myself faster. And it's so free. Oh, I absolutely hate it. It's the best just background noise, dumb entertainment channel. And I can't change the station as much as I try. If for like a bare moment, I don't have an objective of this is what I'm going to watch while doing something else. That is what I go to, which leads me to my biggest problem right now. I know we're not the right generation for this. I understand. We also do not have children that are the right generation for this. But there is a show released weekly on Amazon, which is filled with stupid challenges like this, called The Beast Games, by someone called Mr. Beast, who was given $100 million by Amazon to put on this game show. And it is apparently the second biggest show they've ever put out in the world. It is bigger than Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. It is bigger than Wheel of Time, than Reacher, than
The Boys?
Than The Boys, much bigger than The Boys.
I don't believe that.
It is. Apparently Fallout was the biggest show they've ever released.
I call Mr. Beast paying money to have lies shared.
A few weeks ago, just put it on, just to watch the first episode,
mistake.
And I was like, yep. And then I had to see the ending of that episode because they always end on a cliffhanger, so I had to put on the next one. And then it's like, well, it's on. I might as well keep watching. It is the epitome of the failure of the world, that this game show is not really a game show. It is about people convincing each other to self-eliminate from the game, to betray each other, to be as opportunistic as possible, to be manipulated. Because
so it's Survivor?
It's not Survivor. It is worse than that because the game is about pressuring each other to quit the game. Almost half of the games that they play are, all right, we're going to get rid of all of you unless one of you volunteers to quit. Or I will give you $100,000 right now if you take the money, the rest of your team gets nothing and they're all thrown out. But they do it in a weirdly entertaining fashion. Like they broke one of the episodes, they broke them up into groups of 3, put them in these cubes, and they said you have 5 hours one of you has to agree to handcuff them to the wall and be out of the game. Otherwise, all three of you are gone. Now we're going to put a phone in the room, and you can call us and ask for whatever it is you want within reason. And so people were like calling tattoo artists, and they were getting tattooed in the rooms. People were like ordering food. Some people ordered a pony so they could pet a pony. Some people ordered dice. They started playing like board games to figure out whoever loses the board game is the person who's out of it. And then of course there's the people who took the opportunity to let's do this by chance. Let's exploit this and get a like I said, get a pony. And then there's other people who just use it to just yell at and just convince people, or like they would agree on the rules to a game and then like, okay, cool, you lost. No, I didn't. I refused. I'm not going to quit. You quit because I'm not going to quit. And the exploitation of each other. And so this last episode, they did the trolley problem, which they had a train, and on the first thing was on the track. On one side of the tracks is a Lamborghini, and the other side of the track is you get to pick three people. The remaining people vote. Whoever's the captain, you then pick three people to be on the train. If you choose to hit the Lamborghini, the three people stay in. If you choose to hit the three people, you get the Lamborghini. Now, of course, they don't actually have a train hit the people. They just put dummies up wearing their outfits. But they just kept doing it. And it's so weird because after the first time when the twist is revealed what their game is.
Really sounds like the Hunger Games.
Yeah, because what happened was they didn't tell them why you're selecting a captain. Just select a captain. And they all voted for this person. And then after that, when they did the trolley problem the first time and he took the Lamborghini, they have to re-vote for a new captain. And they all voted for him again. And what was the next thing? Well, we've been watching you on the train track is your best friend. On the other rail is a Tesla and three other people you get to pick. Which one are you going to hit? And then they voted for another captain and they started voting for him again.
Do I kill the Tesla or do I get the Tesla?
If you ran over your best friend, you got the Tesla and those three people.
Oh, I don't want
spared.
the Tesla. So whatever the other one is.
So then, yeah. So he hit the Tesla and the three people and spared his best friend. And that is the thing. It's like, it's these weird microcosm. Like after the first time, you think they would vote for somebody new, but they all went, no, we trust this guy. He just voted off three people for a Lamborghini and everyone's voting for this person again. It is such a weird, like it is the worst base principles of people. I feel it's worse than Survivor, worse than Traders. Love Alan Cumming and I love Traders, but it's just, at least in those situations, it's people kind of like chatting and conspiring together. This is just viciousness just being displayed of how base and evil people are. And I can't wait for the next episode, which is my problem.
Sorry, I haven't said much because I'm staring. I'm giving you a dead-eyed smile. So there's a big explosion behind me.
And this is fine. Everybody disperse. There's no problem.
Yeah. So are you like a game show guy?
I love watching Jeopardy. I love Wheel of Fortune. Yeah. I will give. So my favorite game show of all time is either The Great British Bake Off or a show called Face Off. Face Off was aired on Sci-Fi Channel for like 10 seasons, in which it was makeup artists, special effects and makeup artists, and there was no drama at all. I can watch those shows anytime because there's no drama, there's no backstabbing. It's just the judges decide who wins. Like Great British Bake Off, it is comfort. But I do like the first season or two of a new game show like Survivor or Traders. But once you're entering season 3 and 4 and people quote unquote figure out the game, like Big Brother, I can't watch that because it's the same thing every year.
Yeah,
they figured out the game. We're gonna throw people for a loop. No, it's the exact same freaking game every single time. So I do like game shows, but I'm hoping that there's not some kind of exploit and people figure out the next season of Beast Games or something like that.
Right. I want you to treat yourself better.
Thank you.
Are you familiar with Dropout, the streaming service?
Yes, Make Some Noise, Game Changer.
Game Changer, so I'm thinking of specifically. Okay. Watch that instead. Take care of yourself.
I will. Oh, every once in a while when they do that broadcast news where they quote unquote humiliate their friend by having him read news stories about his life.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, Dropout is fantastic. That is a heavy endorsement. It's worth the $8.99 a month?
Yeah, they're insanely cheap for the amount of quality stuff they put out. I was going to recommend, if you hadn't, I was going to say, don't watch Mr. Beast. Watch Game Changer if you like game shows.
Here's the thing. I've never even watched an episode of his YouTube show stuff. Everything anything before Beast Games that I have ingested about Mr. Beast has been against my will.
Yep.
But it was on, I'm like,
This
Yeah,
is also all against my will, knowing this. Yeah.
But because it was on Prime, and I'm like, and I had heard, oh, they spent $100 million on it, and the grand prize winner wins $5 million. I'm like, okay, let's see what this is about. Let's, and it is kind of compelling to see some people, like one person won an island, and they have, that's 1.8 million. That's a separate than the 5 million that Victor gets at the end.
Wow. All right.
They are throwing away lots of money to these people to do these horrible things. Like, we'll give you $100,000 if you decide to dump your entire team. And then some people take it, some people don't. And it's like,
maybe I should get on Beast Games.
You would rule Beast Games.
I'd dump everybody. I don't care. $100,000 would change my life.
Yeah, exactly. I'd be really uncompelling because the minute you throw anything over 6 digits, I'm like, running the math in my head. What's that after taxes? Yeah, okay, I'm in. I'll take that.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Oh boy. What about you, Josh? What is your next? What you doing?
Let's go into something that's a little more lighthearted, nuanced, and hopeful. Let's talk Star Trek Lower Decks. The most baffling show ever for Matt, because it's a Star Trek show that I watched without any real recommendation. I only just recently learned that the creator of the show was also involved in Rick and Morty, which after learning that, I'm like, oh, that explains the animation style.
Yeah, I think before the show was out, I think a lot of people were like really concerned that it was just going to be like Rick and Morty, but Star Trek.
I think the very first scene you ever encounter where you have a drunk Beckett Mariner running around with the Klingon sword thing like that, I can see a lot of people being
the Honorable Batleth.
I could see a lot of people getting a little concerned because it's very high energy, talking so fast you can't understand it. A guy gets his legs slashed, like right on the inside of his groin. It's a very different energy, but it finds its groove really quickly for a show that's only 10 episodes a season. It was really approachable for someone who is not engaged, no pun intended, with Star Trek very much. Walking into it, a lot of the references are very tongue in cheek. So like, you're like, oh, that's a reference to something. I don't get it, but they made a reference. That's fun. But they really hit it off with the final season too. There's some weird multi-dimensional rift things happening. And then I obviously they didn't do this intentionally, I don't think, given how long it takes to animate and write scripts and everything. But there's a point where I think it's in the second to last episode, or maybe it's at some point with the multidimensional stuff, where Mariner says something to the effect of, oh, multiverse stories are so boring. And obviously that's not like to the length of like Deadpool and Wolverine making fun of multiverse stories and everything, but it's just a fun show, and it is a comedic love letter to Star Trek as a whole.
Yeah, and it also, like, it's one of those things where there are definitely times, and even like entire episodes, where I'm like, I don't think about this a lot when I'm watching necessarily, but I'm like, how does Josh penetrate this, right? Because it's like, I think it's season 3 or 4, the premiere this is Voyager references, wall to wall. We are on Voyager. We're just doing a thing where every joke is a reference to an episode. But it also manages to like really be like, it really captures the spirit of like classic Star Trek in a really fun way, in a way that is like, kind of poking fun at it and some of the silliness and absurdities of it, but in a way that you could tell like these dorks all love this shit, We're like, yeah, we're kind of making fun of some of the dumb stuff, but it's not like, oh, Star Trek. It's, yeah, we joke because we love. And I also really loved that when it was unfortunately the final season. I love a multiverse well enough. I've been reading comics for 20 years. I think they are sort of at a tired place right now because everybody kind of, after Endgame and after everything everywhere all at once, everybody kind of was like, ooh, that's the new hotness. It was like zombies in the 2010s. But I think they found like a very Star Trek way to tackle it and like kind of make a compelling case for a multiverse as a concept. And it gave them a really strong opportunity to pull out some like really deep cut like guest actors that you wouldn't expect that they would guess. I guess minor spoilers, but in the second to last episode, Alfre Woodard appears, who like was in Star Trek First Contact, and that's it. And they met, and now she's like a huge actress. She's like won Has she won Oscars or just been nominated? But either way, they got her to come back for an episode of this fucking cartoon show, which is like just great. Jolene Blaylock is in that episode too, which is like she married obscenely wealthy. She like is married to the person who like runs Ticketmaster or something, and so she never has to actually get a day in her life. But there's an episode with T'Pol from Enterprise on it, which is like beautiful, great. Sorry, I ranted because it's Star Trek.
Yeah, no, it's
your
fully
thing.
understandable. That's why I brought it up. It's something that we can all pretty much talk about to some extent. I think it's the season 3 finale. I forget the character's name, but there's the one storyline that after you explained it to me, and after I finished watching season 5, I went back and I like binged the entire thing again, just because it is such a good show. Like it might be my new favorite like sci-fi animated show that's not Futurama, just because it is so good in what it does. It doesn't have the like heartstring episodes, at least for me, that Futurama does, like Jurassic Park and stuff like that. But there's a villain that makes itself known at the end of, I think it's season 3. It's a guy who apparently plays 2 separate characters. One is like a minor one-off character, and then the other one is like a fairly significant character who kills his crew because he's trying to do a stunt in Starfleet Academy. And there's a really quick bit where they say the guy's name, which Matt, you can feel free to interject with his name in it.
I'll break it all down.
Yeah,
Don't worry about it.
And like Boimler says, "Oh, it looks like this guy." Then Rutherford says, "No, he looks like this guy," and he's like, "They look exactly the same. What are you talking about?" And Boimler's like, I don't see it. And I think at one point they even said like, "Oh, that's a deep cut." And so like it's one of those shows where you're like, oh, okay, they're hanging a lantern on something. I don't get it, but as Matt, as a newly crowned Trekkie, will tell you, anyone who doesn't understand it, like I think that was one of the episodes as I was talking about the show. You're like, this happened. How are you enjoying this when this happened and you don't get the joke? And I'm like, I don't know. It's fine.
Well, yeah, and that whole last arc, because like it's like the last 2-parter of the season or whatever, is such an interesting like kind of case study for what I was talking about, right? Because it is all building on sort of a one-off episode from TNG and like this sort of running gag for Star Trek fans, where you have this episode in TNG. It's a great episode. It's called The First Duty, where Wesley, who has left the ship and gone to Starfleet Academy, is caught up in some trouble at the Academy because he's on this like hotshot young pilots program, and they were doing maneuvers and one of them died. One of their members died. So there's this whole sort of tribunal going on, and the guy who runs the team is this guy named Nick Locarno, who is played by Thomas Duncan McNeil. And then a few years later, and it turns out that they were doing like an illegal maneuver, and he was pressuring them to keep quiet about it, and then it caused an accident and this guy died, so he's responsible for it, gets kicked out of Starfleet Academy, blah blah blah. He's like the one-off villain, so to speak. A few years later, Star Trek Voyager shows up, and you have Thomas Duncan McNeil playing this guy, Tom Paris, who has a suspiciously similar backstory, where he was like in Starfleet Academy, did some hotshot piloting, got kicked out, and then was running with a bad crew and ended up like in a penal colony, and like Janeway recruits him at the beginning of the series for the mission. And I think this has like kind of been proven to be apocryphal, but the lore, the fan lore for a while, is that it was supposed to be the same character, but some rights issues got in the way of it. But I think that's been disproven. But either way, he just ends up playing these 2 very similar characters. So like they're all building on that, basically that joke, like that entire like that one-off episode, and also this bit. But it's also just a really solid Star Trek shit, right? Because it's all about, that whole arc is all about like getting at who Mariner is as a character and like what her deal is, and kind of resolving like some of her deep-seated stuff.
Yeah, because so, the episode just really prior to it's like probably the 3rd to last, or maybe it's even just the 2nd to last episode of the season. She's going through a whole thing where she is more or less on like a suicide mission kick or an adrenaline junkie kick, where she found out that a friend of hers died in battle, and she's like, we're not an army, we're not supposed to be going to battles as Starfleet, we're supposed to be exploring, we're supposed to be studying and learning, and that's not what Starfleet is supposed to be. And the fact that her friend died in what essentially she views as a pointless war she is now like conflicted with her stance and her place in Starfleet. And through the conflict with Nick, she kind of understands that, like, yeah, Starfleet has its flaws, but at least there are people like me around to challenge the status quo, to make them remember their place and what the ideas of Starfleet are supposed to be.
And even all that ties back into the TNG episode Lower Decks, which is like the inspiration for this show, which is like, it's just beautiful stuff. And, you know, that's a season that was aired a year and a half ago or something, but this final season is also really, really killer. I'm really bummed that the show is done, but it like went out on top.
Mhm.
Like I think you could probably make a case for some of the early episodes, like you were saying, being a little weaker, as I kind of figured out the calibration. But I think not a bad episode in the bunch. There's 50 episodes. I would watch any and all of them right now.
I think the only episode that I would say is one that I would skip is the Peanut Hamper integrates with the bird people.
Oh, sure.
Like, that's the one episode where I'm like, I'll skip it.
You don't want to see her hook up with that bird guy again?
Not especially, but I think it's more just it really, Peanut Hamper as a whole doesn't do anything for me. Like, once they get her like settled away into like the evil computer prison, that point forward, I'm like, okay, yeah, I get it. This is fun. But that episode, I don't think does anything to really set up her as malevolent or anything like that, that she needs to be there. It's just that she's a jerk. So Matt, what you doing?
What am I doing? Let's see. You know what? Severance is back. Severance rules. If you haven't seen it, it's an Apple TV show. Apple TV Plus, I guess. In terms of originals, I think hands down the best streamer going right now. If you don't know what it is a show that is about basically a group of people working at a company where they have undergone a procedure where you can basically, you don't remember what you do at work. Like you get into the elevator, go to work, and then you wake up as you're coming up from the elevator. And it's sort of like
the conceit is you don't worry about the shitty day of work you had. We'll take the stress of your bad work day away, and you won't remember any of it. Like, that's the idea that they present to everyone.
And that's like the kernel. I think every single person on Earth who works can empathize with the idea of like, God, what if I could just like blink when I walk into work and be done, right? And like that, I think, is the kernel of the idea that like inspired the show. But it's sort of like, it sort of takes that idea and goes, okay, what would that look like? Like, what would that feel like to be the version of you on the inside of that, who like basically, because it's also like the version of you on the inside doesn't remember anything about the outside. So it's like totally siloed off version of yourself. And it's like,
but
what does
they're
it feel
also
like
aware
to be?
that they, if I remember correctly, I haven't started season 2 yet, but if I remember correctly, they know that they're an quote unquote innie, as they say.
Yes.
So like they know that there's like an outside world, but they view themselves more as like just a part of the subconscious, essentially. Like they're just there to do the work.
Well, and that's one of the things that's interesting about the show, right? Is because like basically the inciting incident of the show is what happens when someone who does not want to be there is hired, right? And like this person is at the whims of the version of themselves who is outside, who maybe doesn't want to quit their job, and they have all these. It's a very secretive company. Like, you can't send messages to the outside. You can't communicate with yourself, and you can send a request to yourself outside to quit. But if they say no, what are you going to do, right? They keep showing up, then you still exist and you cannot escape. And it's very much like, what kind of person would choose to do that to themselves, where like they just turn their brains off for 8 hours a day, or don't experience this huge swath of their life throughout the week? And what kind of company would do that? What kind of work would they do? Things like that. It very much is just like, and I watched it when it first came out in, was it 2022 at this point?
I think so, yeah.
I adored it. I loved it. And then my wife hadn't seen it because I accidentally watched a ton of it without her. She went away for a weekend and was like, I was like, do you want to watch this? Here's what it's about. And she's like, I don't know. You watch the first episode and let me know if you think I'd like it. And then she came back from the weekend and I was like, oops, I watched 2/3 of the season. Sorry. So we finally watched it in the run up to season 2. And I was like, I remember the show being good, but I forgot like how fucking good it is. It is just like, it is a lot like, and when I say this, I'm going to try and explain what I mean by it. It reminds me a lot of Lost. And by that I mean, it is a mystery thriller show. And like those questions are like, They permeate the show. What's going on with this company? What are they doing? What's the deal with XYZ? All the stories are very grounded in like the humanness of it, right? And like I think that was lost at its best, where there's a smoke monster, we don't know what's going on, but we're telling a story about this guy, and we're trying to really nail what they're going through right now. And I think Severance like excels at that. Adam Scott, I'm forgetting literally every other cast member right now.
The guy that tells Spider-Man to do a flip.
Yeah. God, what's his name? Man,
I thought that was his name. John Turturro's in there. I know.
John Turturro.
I forget everyone else that's in there.
Patricia Arquette plays like the mysterious boss that they work for at the division.
Keanu Reeves plays a character.
Keanu Reeves does have a small cameo in the.
He's the voice of the building in a commercial or something.
Yeah, and as of this recording, the second episode of season 2 just dropped, and it is just like, it's still great. I could talk about it, ramble about it all day.
Yeah, really quick on Apple TV Plus. Not a sponsor, but very well should be at this point. Shrinking season 2 was one that I was thinking about talking about. I'm 8 episodes into their 12 episode season 2. Still the best written show I have ever encountered. Even on their more serious episodes, like the one I watched just recently, like the dialogue is so witty, fast paced. Like I don't think they talk like normal people. They talk like how normal people want to talk. I think.
Sure.
But the dialogue is it's so witty. It's on point. And I legitimately have not run into a show in a long time that has me literally laughing out loud at least 2 or 3 times an episode. Shrinking season 2 is like the other side of the Severance coin, where Severance is like this engaging mystery thriller, corporate espionage and whatnot. And then you have Shrinking, which is just this single camera, Bill Lawrence sitcom. It's sort of like what you'd expect from HBO in like the early 2000s, but just without the misogyny. It's it's much better in that sense, but so well written. Everyone is on point. Harrison Ford's hilarious. I'm forgetting the lead actress who plays Gabby at the moment. Jason Segel. Everyone is like just pitch perfect in this show, and they just knock it out of the park.
Yeah, I've not seen it, but it's definitely like one of those ones that it is advertised to me every time I open Apple, and I'm like, I got to get to it.
You really do.
While we are sort of throwing out side recs, like one of the things before we watched Severance, we finally finished the first season of Silo, which is based on a series of books my wife really loves, and that's also really solid, really great, like just good sci-fi drama too. I haven't seen the second season yet because we stopped to watch Severance, but for the most part, I know I've shared some opinions on this show about various later stages of certain soccer show, but every original show I've watched on Apple is like top-notch killer.
Yeah, I agree. King of Monsters is fantastic.
Sure, I haven't seen it, but I'm sure it's great.
I did a rewatch of Ted Lasso, and season 1 is still just so good. Season 2 is hit and miss.
Season 1 is like immaculate.
Yeah.
Like there's a reason it became such a big hit, because like it's so good.
Season 3, yeah. But Alex, what you doing?
I have not watched Severance, but listening to y'all describe it, it sounds like it just ripped off Multiplicity and is focusing on number 2 going to the day job while, number 1 gets to have the fun of not being at work.
Well, it's sort of like, I've not seen Multiplicity, but I could guess like,
you need to watch Multiplicity.
Well, I'm sitting here with you talking about Severance, so I can't watch it right now.
He's also got Dragon Ball Z going in the background.
Yeah.
Well, you have 7 days until the next Severance episode drops. You can watch Multiplicity.
It's sort of like if number 2 only existed in The Office. Like,
well, he does.
Like
in theory.
like he becomes aware when he enters the office, and he basically ceases to be. So like for him, it's an endless loop of going to the office, leaving the office, going to the office, leaving the office. And if like the person on the outside takes a week off, that person doesn't exist for an entire week, like that, which is one of the questions about, is this a person? Is this just a part of a person?
Oh, yeah.
Is it nothing? It's just like really one of the crunchy things that the show is really interesting.
Yeah, Multiplicity explores that as well, which is why they make number 3.
Oh, okay.
Do you know what Multiplicity is about?
It's about like Michael Keaton cloning himself a bunch.
So Michael Keaton is a workaholic who gets the opportunity, who basically is losing his family. So he gets the opportunity to go to this clinic where they create an exact duplicate of him But this one, number 2, does the work stuff so that he can spend time with number 1 can spend time with his family.
But he could
So
theoretically, number 2 could theoretically leave the premises of the office and like go get a beer. Theoretically.
Except the intention of him, of number 2, and he gets all the persona is he is the work persona. So he's the gruff, I work myself almost to one point during the movie to death, because that is what they cut that part out of Michael Keaton, where
I see. Okay.
number 2 is a workaholic. So what ends up happening is that Michael Keaton is like, well, now that I'm home all the time because my work persona is elsewhere, I'm stuck with all these chores. So they make a number 3 who is the home husband, who gets that persona of the I'm at home with the wife and kids kind of thing. And so the number 1 disappears and goes like on vacation for like several months, but the wife never knows because number 3 is at home, always there, always attentive, always there, and number 2 is off working all the time, bringing in the money. It's right. And so they do explore that a bit. So
maybe they did rip it off. I don't know.
No, I'm not saying it's a rip off. It's obviously very different, but I'm just saying it just reminds me of that. It's like it sounds like that because yes, number 2 and 3 could come home and like hang out with the wife, but he doesn't. He's siloed over there. Haha, silo. To do that thing, and they're not supposed to interact with each other, with anyone but themselves. So I do want to get around to Severance, and I need to finish Silo because they canceled it. Renewed it for seasons 3 and 4 to finish off the book series, and then they're done.
For something like this, is probably good.
Yeah, you don't want it to keep going forever.
Yeah, but also Severance rules. I would recommend getting to it like as soon as you possibly can.
Oh, what am I doing?
What
Josh?
you doing, Alex?
I have nothing else in my life, man. It is Mr. Beast and My Dressed Up Darling.
I can see him in the background watching Mr. Beast right now.
Wait, what's this? He cured 2,000 people of blindness? I need to watch this.
Wow, good for him.
Click. What do you got, Josh? Do you have anything else?
The last thing I've got on my list is Star Wars Skeleton Crew, which we had a really good discussion about this kind of in our Discord, which plug for that. So Star Wars Skeleton Crew essentially is what if Star Wars did Treasure Island and Goonies and it just wasn't connected to anything in the Skywalker saga or really overall into the whole rebellion versus the Empire, the Republic versus the Separatists, Skywalkers versus Palpatines. What if none of that really mattered and this is just a fun young kids adventure into the larger world? And it is a lot of fun, but it's one of those movies that, as we discussed in the Discord, we have been taught in a way that Star Wars is so precious, the lore is so precious that if we tell a Star Wars story, it needs to be tied into something, or like it better be tied into the bigger overarching universal story of Star Wars. Otherwise, what's the point? And I don't want to relitigate the conversation we had, but I thought it was really good that I'd like to at least mention it, because Skeleton Crew, I think it's fine. It's fun. It has my new favorite Star Wars droid, which is SM-33. For those who don't recognize it, that's Smee, and he's a big pirate droid. And I be talking like this. It's just a fun pirate adventure set in Star Wars, but it does lead to a weird question of, can Star Wars do fun little side adventures? Like, I think the way I'm kind of coming at Skeleton Crew after having watched the season is that I think it's more like a Rey era folklore, like Treasure Island is for us. Like, it's a vid story that kids read. Like, that's kind of the premise that they set up. And small spoiler alert, after the mid credits roll, you like pull out from a vid pad. So like, it is kind of like you just read a story set in the Star Wars universe. It's not tied to like the Jedi or anything like that, although there is some Force stuff that happens. Overall, it's the Goonies just done with Star Wars. It's Treasure Island, Treasure Planet, however you want to phrase it, set within a Star Wars location, essentially, with some 80s nostalgia, some Stranger Things kind of stuff sometimes. But overall, it was very fun. As we've discussed previously, again, Discord, the crux of the show being set in Star Wars but not being tied to anything feels off, because we have been trained in a sense that if it's Star Wars, it needs to tie in somehow to the larger universe. And this show doesn't do that. So it leaves you with a weird feeling at the end of it. It's like, where does this stand? Like, why does this story need to happen or be set in the Star Wars universe if it's not tying into anything larger than itself?
Yeah, and I think that was a conversation you and I had, and I will just, I think for me, I haven't seen Skeleton Crew yet, admittedly. I've too much time watching Severance and playing anime bullshit games. But like that to me is a bonus, right? Where like I think you're not saying it's not a bonus necessarily, but the thing that I've wanted so much for a lot of this Disney Star Wars stuff, and I'm someone on record on this show is like mostly the stuff I've seen is like good to fine, I think is mostly fine. But like the promise of Star Wars as a movie, the original movie, and as like a franchise, so to speak, is that it's this huge world where all kinds of stuff can happen. And so often, because it's Star Wars, because they feel like they need to tie it in, either so people will care or to justify its existence, all this stuff always ties back in. Where like, oh, the guy in the background of Mos Eisley actually has this full rich life. And by the way, did you know he saved Han Solo's life one time? And I can get into a whole thing where I also talked a little bit about this in the Discord, where how much of this is down to like how much Disney spends on this shit, where it's like it needs to tie into Star Wars because you need everybody to give a shit, because you need 1 billion eyes on it, because you spent $500 million making the thing. Again, I've not seen it. Maybe I would hate it if I watched it, but something that just is, we are just going to do something in Star Wars that has the Star Wars trappings, that is just like kind of doing a riff on something else, but with a Star Wars setting. And we're not going to like suddenly insinuate that what's his name is like baby Kylo Ren or some shit, is like refreshing to me. And that's the thing about The Mandalorian, right? Like that was the thing with The Mandalorian. It is the promise of Boba Fett, right? We're like, here's this guy who seems really cool, and we killed off Boba Fett, but here's a guy that looks just like him, who is like doing cool Boba Fett shit. And then partway through, Filoni's like, ooh, what if I brought in all my bullshit from the cartoons and also tried to fix the sequels, quote unquote, the way everyone says I fixed the prequels, and then now we've got fucking Bo-Katan, and we're talking about the Mandalorian society for the 10th fucking time in one of these cartoons,
See, I agree with you because I love the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian. They work as mostly self-contained stories. I have rewatched chapter 16 numerous times because I finally saw the Luke I had read about in the legacy books and comics, and for so many times, the skilled Jedi Master who can wipe the floor with anything you put in front of him and is compassionate and caring. And if the fucking Mandalorian had ended with that episode, like his side quest is over,
Right.
I would have been happy. But then they have season 2.5 in the middle of Boba Fett and completely wreck that character with the Skittles gang and all that stuff. And then season 3, he's not even the Mandalorian anymore. If it's released week to week, and they're talking about like why Bo-Katan so much, and then some of the producers are like, well, the Mandalorian could be any Mandalorian, and I'm like, no. The freaking subtitles, whenever he speaks, says the Mandalorian. It doesn't say Jin, whatever his name is. It says
Din Djarin.
It says the Mandalorian. Carl Weathers calls him Mando. He
Right.
is the Mandalorian of the show. And the more they try to tie that in with, oh, we're giving little teases about possible clones of this general and this other person, which would lead to this, it all falls apart. They don't understand how to get away from the legacy books, despite them saying when they bought the franchise and they threw away 100 episode scripts for some live action show that George Lucas wanted. They buried Seth Green's animated show that was about to come out. They got rid of Lucas's 7 through 12 scripts. They junked them in the trash and said, we're starting over. They just keep circling back around to trying to scrape something interesting out. If they can just stay away and do something else. which is why I'm a little excited about the movie that one of the movies they might film, try to set like 10,000 years before the fall of the Republic. Cool. All right, do that. But they're going to allude to Yoda's somewhere in their Baby Yoda, or the prophecy of the One, or some crap like that. Just run away from it, or give me goddamn Luke Skywalker and Mara Jade.
Well, that's the thing,
one
right?
or the other.
Even something that is ostensibly removed, and we're kind of getting off topic. Sorry, Josh.
Oh, it's fine.
Say what you will about the Acolyte, right? I like the Acolyte fine mostly, and I could talk about. We don't have to get into that. That's a separate topic, but like that's a show that is like we're doing a thing that is entirely, it's tied into like various novels and shit we've been doing, comics, but it is not about the shit you've been watching in Star Wars. But then they still find a way to be like, ooh, there's Darth Plagueis, there's Yoda at the very end, right? Where it's like
there's Ki-Adi-Mundi, and everyone gets upset because his birthday's wrong.
Yeah, he wasn't born yet.
That's another thing that sinks that show for me. I think that show is like an okay show that has other problems that I think they could have ironed out if they didn't allow it to continue. But it's still a thing where, like, I don't know if it's Disney, I don't know if it's just people working in Star Wars love Star Wars, but they just can't resist. And this is stuff I don't even hate in a vacuum, right? Like, there's a lot of Mando season 3 I really like.
There are moments I liked.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Clone Wars. I like Rebels, what I've seen of it. The Filoni stuff is not bad. It's just like nothing is allowed to escape the gravity of like being Star Wars, right? Where like eventually they're going to get sucked into trying to explain something. And that if you haven't seen 12 movies and 2 cartoon shows and a bunch of shorts, you're going to be like not understanding the full context of like what's happening.
As much as I liked Rogue One, I hated the foundational premise of Rogue One, which is we have to explain why it's a plot hole that there is a weak point in the Death Star. No, there is not a plot
Hubris.
hole. Right. Ships have weak parts. The Titanic sank because it had shitty steel and hit the thing. That's part of why it sank. You don't hit the tail, the end of an airplane, Right. It's silly. But I actually do have a question, Josh, for you about a Skeleton Crew. Is it at least charming?
Oh, it's charming as hell. Like if you find enjoyment in things like Stranger Things and Treasure Planet from Disney, there are things to like in the show, and I think week to week it is very strong. I think the weakest episode is like the one before the finale, and that's only because the whole premise is by the end of episode 1, the kids find a spaceship and they leave this planet that is essentially like what if the 80s, but in Star Wars. There's a secret about this planet that these kids are only ever told that the work that they do is leading towards the great work, capital G, capital W. They don't know what it is really, but they just know that it's building towards something, which like, I think that's maybe a little bit of the show having a little bit of bad faith in people and being like, ooh, maybe they're building towards like the Death Star or Star Killer Base or something. But none of it. It's they were spoilers for Skeleton Crew. It's a mint planet for the Old Republic. So they're printing literal priceless currency. And because they've been doing it for 30 some odd years at this point, they just have a treasure trove of it. Plus, again, they have the mint presses. So when Jude Law's force sensitive pirate captain, not Long John Silver, but his name is Jod Silvo. So he finds out that these kids are from this mythical planet called At-Aten, and he knows that there's some kind of limitless treasure buried within it through the lore of the pirate code. And he's working with the kids to try and get them there. And there's a Long John Silver Thomas relationship that forms, but he's always kind of sleazy about it too. So like there's not one-to-one parallels with the relationship that they have in the show, but it's Jude Law is Jude Law. Like he's charming and he's engaging, and you're like, is he putting on a bit? Is he really going to be evil? Like where are we going with this? And I think the show plays it off really well in terms of how he engages with everyone. Plus the kids are, for being kids, kid actors, they do a really good job with what they have.
Cool, yeah. Like I said, before I ranted, I'm very interested in it, and knowing it, I'm not gonna have to know. I'm not have to pretend to give a shit about I don't know.
Yeah, you don't have to worry
Plo
about
Koon or something.
any Palpatine clones showing up, or Star Killer
Yeah.
Base, or the Death Star, Darth Vader, or anything like that. The show sets itself up pretty well to be taken in a vacuum, because the Atten has been producing Republic credits since before the fall of the Republic, so they don't even know that the Jedi have been defeated. So there's a moment where one of the characters is like, we're going to call the Jedi and they're going to come and rescue us. And someone goes, the Jedi have been extinct for 30 years, kid. You're lying. So it's
cool.
Yeah, it's an interesting watch, if nothing else, just because, again, if you go into it thinking, oh, it's Star Wars, how is this going to tie into the larger Star Wars anything? And then you find out at some point, or by the end of the show, you're like, oh, it doesn't. It's a weird feeling, if nothing else. I think if you go in knowing it doesn't tie into anything, that can set your expectations to have more fun with the show. But I know there are neckbeards out there who are going to be like, but why didn't this explain how Luke got his lightsaber back in The Last Jedi, or anything like that?
Right. Although, in fairness to what you were gesturing at, this is just Star Wars to some degree, right? Where before Disney, we were doing books where we're explaining why Han Solo has a fucking stripe on his pants. It's just in the blood somehow. Where Star Wars fans just love
finding out the minutia of every detail.
Yeah, and people love exploring it. So I don't know. I guess go with God. If you're not hurting anybody, if you're not harassing actors on Twitter or something. Sorry, X, the everything app. Then I guess love your explanations for the Corellian blood stripe and shit.
All right, Matt, you got any more What'cha Doins that you want to talk about real quick?
I got so many, but I know we've been talking for a while, so I'm just going to talk a little bit about Switch 2. It's coming. They finally confirmed it. They finally just said, you know what? All those leaks were mostly kind of true. They did I think as of this recording, about a week and a half ago, they did a little presentation that didn't show much, just kind of the fact that it exists. It's called the Switch 2. It's bigger.
I feel like they really missed a trick with not calling it the Super Nintendo Switch. I would have really dug that.
Yeah, I mean, I would have loved that. They don't have any. They're doing a direct in April, presumably to talk more about features and also actual games. They did show some footage of a Mario Kart that is pretty clearly a new Mario Kart. So who knows about launch stuff? Who knows about things like that? They said all games will be backwards compatible with an asterisk. They said some games won't. I assume that it's going to be because Ring Fit Adventure, for example, comes with a specific bespoke item that slots the Joy-Cons in, and the new Joy-Cons are too big or something like that. So it's a small thing, and I haven't really been doing it necessarily, but just knowing, I don't know, I'm a Nintendo dork, so knowing I'm almost always ready to be marketed to by Nintendo, even though I know it's marketing, I know they're trying to sell me something, but I'm what are the games going to be? What are you going to show for me? What are you going to show me this time? I'm just really excited to see it, even though some people are disappointed that it's just a more powerful, bigger Switch, which I understand. Nintendo can be a weird, quirky company that can kind of thrive when their back's in a corner. That's how you get the Wii. That's how it's how you get the Game Boy. All kinds of stuff like that. I get that, but I'm just ready to just have a bunch more fucking Nintendo games to play.
I am more curious as to obviously the Joy-Cons can't slot in with the Switch 2. I want to know if you can still put them in the cradle, the holster, whatever you want to call it, for the controllers, and use the Switch Joy-Cons with the Switch 2, just because I don't want to have to buy a whole other bunch of peripherals.
Or, will it even work on Switch 2, right? Where one of the rumors that was going around beforehand, which is still unconfirmed, is that the Joy-Con 2, or whatever they call it, could also operate as a mouse, basically.
Yeah, I saw
And,
they had
you know,
like
they
an
didn't
optical attachment or something like that.
Yeah, they didn't say anything about that in the thing, but there is that moment where like they're zipping around like little actual mice, where like the Joy-Con strap looks like a tail and stuff. So people have sort of read that as a confirmation. So, you know, who knows, right? Maybe there's stuff the new Mario will do that will necessitate those functionality that you wouldn't be able to use the old Joy-Con. But I would love that too, because I spent a lot of money on that Pro Controller for Switch 1, which is a really nice controller. I'd love to be able to just use that again. But you know, I am ready to be, like I said, just advertised to me. You know, it's April 2nd, I think, is the direct.
Yep.
And I cannot get here soon enough.
Yeah, we might have to do an episode on that direct if we have nothing else in the lineup. I haven't looked at our schedule in a while. I know Ricky is super excited about it. She's really hoping that Pokemon Legends Z to A is a launch title. There's also Pokemon Gen 10 is supposed to be released fairly early on.
Yeah, I would be surprised if there wasn't some kind of Pokemon something this year. And it's like, you know, we're not going to hear anything more until April. Who knows when it launches, right? Like, could be a quick turnaround, could be Christmas, but you know, they announced that Pokemon Z to A, the other Legends game or whatever it was, I want to say at the beginning of last year, and then just nothing since then. So it's like, it's got to be coming out sometime soon, right? Usually they're, you know, Pokemon is like weirdly almost an annual franchise.
Yeah, ever since like the 3DS era, they've been an annual title pretty much. Even with if it's just like a soft remake, like was it Sword and Shield? No, not Sword and Shield were remakes. What was it?
They did a Diamond and Pearl not long ago.
That's right. Yeah, even if it's just like a graphical upgrade into like modern era graphics, they were pretty routinely putting out Switch titles or Pokemon titles on Nintendo consoles for a solid 10 years at that point.
Yeah. So I you know, and it's the kind of thing where I would bet, because you know there hasn't been a Mario game since Mario. There's been Mario games, but there hasn't been like a full big 3D Mario game since Mario Odyssey in 2017. It's like they're probably cooking something there. Who knows what Zelda looks like? You know, they only just released Tears of the Kingdom in 2023, so might still be a while there. But I would bet we'll see some heavy hitters this year as they try to really hit the ground running. And I'm like, give me that, give me the weird stuff, show me some cool shit.
Indeed. And like I said, we might talk about it at some point in April. It might not be directly after the Nintendo Direct, but to keep up on all that, you can definitely join our Discord, which the link is in the episode description. Alex, let everyone know about the Discord. You haven't talked a lot in the last like 20 minutes, so we'll let you plug the Discord this time.
You're fine. Discord. It is a chat site in which we can communicate with each other. You can go on the web, you can go on your app, you can go on your phone. And it is where you can have these stirring conversations. And you can ask Matt personally, what is that red Corellian blood stripe on Han Solo's pants about? And he will give you the 4-page answer and references to each book that it is talked about in.
I'll probably just copy Wikipedia.
He wrote the page anyway.
So join in the link below.
Yep, the link is in the episode description on all platforms. That would include Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Podbean, and I don't even know what else. So many podcatchers have been going under while others have risen from the ashes. But those are our big four. But you can email us or find us on social media at Blue Sky, Instagram, Threads, Hive Social, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. We are on all those platforms at Talking Smack Pod. Email us your thoughts, questions, reviews, what you doing. I guess in the case of the Switch 2, what you gonna do. We are at tsmackpod@gmail.com. Thank you to Leo Allen for musical themes, Beppo for our original avatars, Retro Ale Studios for our Ricky avatar. Please like, subscribe, rate, review on your podcatcher of choice. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit that like button, that subscribe button. It helps us out a lot. Matt, Alex, thank you so much for having been here. And we now have our Super Bowl matchup. It is the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Philadelphia Eagles, which is not the outcome I was hoping for.
Ugh,
yeah, I'll probably just be refreshing YouTube, waiting for the trailers to drop. I don't have any interest in watching that one. So with that, Gentlemen, thank you so much for having been here, letting me know and letting everyone else listening know what you're doing. And thank you, dear listeners, for taking the time to hang out with us today. Take care, and we will see you next week.
Watch Dragon Ball.
Okay, I love you. Bye-bye.